welcome to Next Africa. I'm Jennifer Zabasaja, and this month we dig into Washington's relationship with the continent. Donald Trump's return to the White House was always bound to shake up U.S. relations with the rest of the world.
So help me God. Congratulations, Mr. President.
But not many people could have predicted this. Within hours of taking office, a slew of executive orders followed and the promise of widespread tariffs.
Remember again the word tariff.
Tariffs on chips, tariffs on oil and gas, a lot of tariffs on steel.
Now, President Trump's brinkmanship has injected uncertainty into the global economy, with Africa set to suffer from many of the consequences. The shuttering of U.S. aid and plans to exit the World Health Organization dealt a double blow to African nations. And he's even targeted the continent's most advanced economy, South Africa, freezing financial aid because of a new land expropriation law.
Terrible things are happening in South Africa. The leadership is doing some terrible things, horrible things.
Now, Trump has falsely claimed that human rights violations are being committed and that the government is seizing land from white farmers. It's an accusation that's being backed by Trump's South African-born ally and the world's richest person, Elon Musk. But Pretoria is standing firm.
We are, as South Africans, a resilient people, and we will not be bullied.
Now, the rift comes as South Africa tries to shape the agenda as the first African country to hold the G20 presidency. To discuss what's been a rocky start to the U.S.-Africa relation under the new administration, I'm joined by Bloomberg Opinion columnist and political commentator Justice Malala. Justice, always great to speak with you. In a recent column, you describe a global political context where the idea of a rules-based international order is collapsing and states no longer have guaranteed protections. In the article, you're talking about Ukraine and the DRC, but is that how you would describe the current U.S.-Africa relationship?
Absolutely, Jennifer. Thanks so much for having me. I think you have several things. You have U.S., the rest of the world, you have U.S.-Africa, then you have U.S.-South Africa. And I think the relationships in all three spheres reflect just how Trumpism has arrived, how it's upending the world. And I think just the past 25, 26 days of the Trump presidency are just the beginning. I think the impact has been on aid so far. I think there will be major impact on trade with Africa. I think come September, we'll see serious action, if not before, on trade relationships with the continent. And I think that's when the pain will really hit us. But this is just the beginning.
Justice, was this inevitable? You've been looking at this country here in South Africa and more broadly at relations. Did you see this coming?
I'm sad to say, it's very hard for all of us, I think, to say, I told you so. But I think for people like me and you, journalists and others who've been saying, think about what the Trump administration means for the world and think about what it means for South Africa. The key thing that happened here was that we always knew two things. One, that it would become more transactional. It's America first, what do you have for me? And I don't think Africa, the African Union, the regional bloc SADC and EAC and others actually thought this through, what that means. And now the reality is hitting. But I think the second thing is that the world, a lot of people did not anticipate just how fast and how furiously Donald Trump's administration would act, and just how it wouldn't consider the consequences of what it's doing. So if you take aid and humanitarian aid only and say what's happening in the DRC, on the border with Rwanda, around Lake Kivu, in just the past month, something like 1 million people have been displaced. And with the freeze on U.S. aid, the ability to deal with that humanitarian situation is vastly impacted in the negative. And so this, my view is that if one is not preparing for this, for a harder hit on the continent, then one is, it's a dereliction of one's leadership position.